And we are following that breaking news. A federal judge has ruled the Trump administration exceeded their authority when they federalized the California National Guard, and that the administration must return control of the Guard to Governor Newsom. The administration did just appeal the order to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and Judge Charles Breyer had issued a stay on his own order until noon tomorrow, leaving time for the president to do just that with the appeal. We just brought you live the governor reacting to that ruling, calling it a good day for democracy.
He also reacted to that confrontation between Secret Service and Senator Alex Padilla. NBC4's Conan Nolan's in our newsroom. He has much more on all of this. Conan.
That's right. The governor going on to say today's order makes clear that President Trump is not above the constitutional restraints. The president is a constitutional officer. He works under the Constitution. Keep in mind that Charles Breyer, the judge in this case, U.S. District Court out of San Francisco, saying that the three provisions that Mr. Trump, the president, had used in order to nationalize the California National Guard do not hold up to scrutiny. There's no rebellion against the government taking place. There is no invasion into the United States from a foreign country. And the president is not unable to institute or practice or enforce the laws of the country without having to nationalize the California National Guard. Here's what the governor said moments ago.
It's a federal judge with a federal order. Period, full stop. It's the rule of law. These are the foundational principles of a constitutional democracy. He must work under the constraints as a constitutional officer of the Constitution of the United States of America. That's what this court order demands of the President of the United States. He is not a monarch, he is not a king, and he should stop acting like one.
Now, the governor responding to the news from the San Francisco District Court. By the way, Charles Breyer, an appointee of President Clinton, so you can assume that the Trump administration is going to say that this is a partisan ruling as they're appealing it to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The governor also responding to a remarkable incident that happened earlier today in the federal building on Wilshire Boulevard in Westwood, when the senior United States Senator from California was hustled out of a press conference, taken to the floor and handcuffed by federal authorities. It is now emblematic of the confrontation that is taking place between the state of California and the federal government over immigration law. It was a theme repeated during the news conference by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, the hyperbolic demeaning of Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. This while celebrating the largely unwelcome federal response.
We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country.
In the audience, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, who later said he had heard enough.
Do this.
Hands up, hands up. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla.
Padilla told MSNBC that he was simply interrupting Noem with a question when he was hustled out of the room, with federal agents then putting him on the floor where he was temporarily handcuffed.
Kept repeatedly asking themselves, why am I being detained? No answer. Why am I being detained? No answer. They were non-communicative until somebody from, I'm sure, Secretary Noem's team figured out I was who I said I was, and finally said, let him go.
How do you characterize what happened?
It's not about me, Conan. It's not about me. Just think, if they can do this to a United States senator who has the audacity to ask a question, just imagine what they're doing to so many people across the country, or can do, feel like they have the license to do to anybody around the country.
After the incident, Padilla then met with the DHS secretary for 15 minutes. Did it clarify anything?
No.
Noem says she did not hear Padilla identify himself and claimed that he had lunged at her, but that their meeting went well.
I wish that he would have reached out and identified himself and let us know who he was and that he wanted to talk. His approach, was something that I don't think was appropriate at all. But the conversation was great, and we're going to continue to communicate.
The remarkable moment proving to be emblematic of the conflict now underway over unprecedented immigration raids throughout Southern California. Democrats outraged Governor Gavin Newsom moments ago.
And anyone that knows Alex Padilla knows one thing about Alex Padilla. He's one of the most mild-mannered, decent people you'll meet. And that's not, don't just take my word for it. Folks on the other side of the aisle would acknowledge that. I thought it was a disgrace.
That is also the term that was used by Democrats on Capitol Hill, demanding an investigation, certainly an apology. Alex Padilla says he would like one as well. Meanwhile, Homeland Security and the agents in the room said that they did not recognize the senator and that they believed he actually made a move toward the secretary, that they were acting in the best interest of safety for the cabinet official. And once they learned who he was released. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
It was a remarkable day, Conan. Meanwhile, Mayor Bass here in Los Angeles held her own news conference about what happened to the senator. Let's get right to NBC4's Robert Kovacic. He was present for that. Robert.
All right, Carolyn, let's go back and talk about that news conference if we can when it comes to the senator. Karen Bass reminding everyone that Alex Padilla is the first Latino senator from the state of California. She thought it was incredible for anyone to believe that they wouldn't recognize him when he walked into that news conference. She said she spoke to the senator to make sure he was okay, to make sure he was uninjured. Then she looked directly into the camera and talked to Kristi Noem and said to the secretary, who she was in Congress with for almost a decade, and she said, Kristi, I don't recognize who you are anymore. But Karen Bass said she does recognize the city of Los Angeles and was surrounded by about 100 community leaders saying this is a city of immigrants. And this is a city that does not need not only the federal raids, but federal intervention. And so now we are here. It is after 7 o'clock. We are coming upon day 3 of the curfew. And I just want to give you a sense. Remember the idea that the National Guard was coming in here to help because LA was going to be a lawless place. Well, this is the place of lawlessness right now, if you will. This is downtown Los Angeles. You can see members of the LAPD there here just waiting for any type of trouble or any type of protest. We saw a couple of hundred protesters. They were very patient. They didn't really do anything except march around City Hall. They were held signs, they were chanting, they were decrying the ICE raids, but they did not cause any trouble. But you have to consider what we did witness last night. Let's show you some video. We had this live on the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock. There were protesters, and we understand that these were protesters who were involved here at Grant Park about 7:30 last night, who ended up marching about 5 miles all the way to the heart of Koreatown, Western and Beverly. There was an ugly confrontation with police officers. The LAPD putting up a skirmish line. There was foam batons that were fired on the crowd. There were dispersal orders made. And then if you continued on with NBC4 News, there was even a pursuit involving someone who apparently attacked a police officer to some degree. So with that said, we are on night 3 of the curfew. Does the curfew zone, that 1 mile square radius, need to be extended? Does the curfew need to continue? These were the questions we posed to Mayor Bass this afternoon.
Let's talk about the curfew. Is it going to continue? How long is it going to continue? Does the zone need to be expanded after we saw last night in Korea?
Well, I don't think the zone needs to be expanded. Unfortunately, we will continue the curfew, and my hope is after continuing it a few more days that people will get the message that we are serious. The arrest that took place last night was not for looting, was not for violence. It was for unlawful assembly and curfew violation. What I noticed when I was traveling the streets late last night is that the people that were out on the streets were young people waving flags, and they were not violent. That was not the group that has committed the vandalism.
So curfew night 3 is about to get underway, but Carolyn and Kathy, since the ICE raids began a week ago, this is the quietest we have seen downtown Los Angeles. This is the curfew zone that you are looking at right now, and when it gets underway, this is exactly what law enforcement is hoping to see. People off the streets, people that are following the curfew protocol and that people that will continue to follow the curfew protocol until the mayor decides it is over. But right now it continues starting at 8 o'clock tonight till 6 o'clock in the morning. If there is any trouble, if there is any vandalism, Mayor Bass attributed it to a couple, and I'm quoting here, of bad actors taking full advantage of the federal escalation. We're live here in downtown Los Angeles. I'm Robert Kovacic. Let's go back to you.
All right, Robert.